I'm more than halfway through my very first Cotton Cuts mystery quilt. So today I'm going to tell you what I think, some tips and tricks along the way, and walk you through the clues so far. Flyway is Cotton Cuts' 17th mystery quilt. So obviously, people must love them. But what is it? A Cotton Cuts mystery quilt is a mystery quilt that takes place over 10 months. So you can either purchase your clues up front or you can get them mailed to you each month. And basically what it is a fully cut kit where all you have to do is sit down and sew each month. And at the end of the 10 months, they reveal the big mystery of what the quilt looks like. And you have a mystery quilt. I paid for this kit myself. So these are my true and honest opinions, not sponsored or paid for by anybody. And these are just my opinions. So I understand people are going to have different opinions than me. So let's get into it. First, we'll go through after 4 clues what I think some pros and cons are. I'll give you just a couple of tips and tricks that I've discovered through these first 4 clues. And then we'll actually walk through each one of the blocks and I'll kind of just give you my thoughts. And then we can look at everything I've done so far on the design board. All right, so let's get into the pros and cons. Pros. I for sure love having something to look forward to each month. The first Friday of every month, I get the clue emailed to me for the next batch. I bought all of my fabric prepaid through a kit, which I unboxed, and I'll link that video here if you're curious. And so I just need to wait for the email, print out my clue, or you could read it on your phone, but I'm old school and like to print it, and I'm ready to sew. Love that, and I love have something to look forward to each month. Obviously, I love that it's pre-cut and ready to sew. That is basically why I did this. Cutting is one of my least favorite aspects of a project. I love the idea of like when I'm just looking to sew and I want to do something, I have something that's pre-cut and ready for me each month. And part of me, because this could be both a pro and con for me, part of me does love that I don't know what the end product is going to look like. It is also a con for me, which we'll kind of get into about some of the fabrics. And I think it's maybe because I am a very cynical person and I don't have trust in anybody. So I have to trust that Cotton Cuts is not steering me down the wrong path. And, that's a Tasha problem, not an everybody problem. So it is a pro for me because I think it's going to be so exciting to see what this looks like at the end. And I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to guess the layout. I think they've said nobody's ever guessed a layout before. So wouldn't that be so fun if I could guess the layout? Probably not going to happen, but a girl's going to try, okay? All right, and then let's talk some cons. I don't know if I want to call them true cons, but I think I'm just going to tell you that these are things to consider that I don't like, that I'm not obsessed with, right? The first con, which is not really a con, it's just a consideration, is when I bought this kit, I originally kind of was like, ooh, this will be some mindless sewing. It's already cut for me. It is not mindless for my brain. It might be mindless for your brain. And so the reason why is all of the instructions, when they come through, are in black and white, and you kind of have to know like what's color A. So the instructions will say like, take triangle A and triangle B and put them together. And you have to use your little swatch booklet here to figure out what fabrics are A and what fabrics are B. It's totally fine, totally doable, obviously works for everybody. And I still do enjoy it. But that is the part that my brain just had a hard time mapping the colors from the instructions to the pamphlet to real life. It's not mindless. I still enjoy it. It's not mindless, right? You have to still think a little bit. The mapping part of it is getting easier. Now I know what my fabric A is. I know what my fabric C is. I don't always know all of them, but I know some of them. It's getting easier. But that's just something to think about. You're going to have to kind of do a little loop-de-doo. It's all explained. It's clear. Obviously, people are making their quilts all the time. It's just not what I was expecting. So or not what I was hoping. I was like, ooh, easy peasy. Not as easy, but still fun. I do think that some of the fabric, I'm assuming that when they're cutting these shapes out on their die cutters, they're trying to maximize the number of shapes that they can get out of their fabric versus the orientation on the fabric, meaning sometimes some things are cut across the grain or with the grain. I know that if you've watched one of my videos before, Dob's same old story, but some pieces do have a little extra stretch and some don't. Again, it's probably fine. Everybody deals with it. It's just something to consider, and you need to be careful about accidentally stretching fabric if it's got like a lot more give than you are expecting. And I know if you're a regular viewer, you know that I have a complaint about 2 of the fabrics. E and F, I'll put a picture of them up on here. I believe it's E and F. Yes, E and F. The reason why I have a problem with these is, to me, they're big prints with similar colors, and when they're cut up, they can look very similar or very different. and I don't think that there's a ton of contrast. And I'll beat that to death a little bit further on, where some of these blocks, they don't look like they have contrast to me. I know some people who have watched the videos disagree. That's fine. That's my biggest concern, is like, I hope that they really vetted all of these fabrics to make sure there's contrast. So that is why it being a mystery is both a pro and a con. And maybe I just have to learn to trust the process. I know I'm trusting it. I'm keeping up with it. I'm excited, but I'm just keeping it real with you, right? I'm a little disappointed right now. I'm not saying I'm disappointed forever. We're just documenting this journey. So that's what we're doing. And then I just have a couple like quick little tips that probably aren't, groundbreaking. But one, so I've been using some labels that they provided to label the final clues. And that's been great because I know when you go to assemble it, it's probably going to be wonky. So yeah, making sure you're labeling things. But what I wasn't doing up until now was labeling the individual steps from each clue. And it didn't matter until this month in month 4, because I put together all the clues and I just kind of stack everything back up, because then I can just break it back apart. But all of a sudden I realized there were 2 sets of subunits that looked exactly alike. And I was chatting with my friend, and she was like, well, Tasha, it's because some of them have pressing directions one way and some of them having pressing directions the other way. And I realized that, like, of course, by the time I was texting with her, it was after I'd already finished like assembling the final units. So I most likely have units together that have the bad, like, not the correct pressing instructions. So shout out Chris. You guys probably know Chris O'Neill from Sew the Distance, for solving that mystery for me. So I have not been paying good enough attention to pressing instructions in general, so I need to go back and do that. And 2, I need to start labeling every step, just in case this happens again, where the final unit looks exactly the same, but the pressing instructions are different. So do with that what you will, but I think labeling individual steps is important. And so, like I said, I haven't been doing a great job with the pressing instructions. So I do think I might go back and repress some of the old blocks. I was making the joke to Chris, like, there's type A people, type B people, and I'm a type IDGAF. I don't give a quilter, but maybe I should. Maybe I should give AF about this. And so I might go back through and repress those to make sure they're all accurate with the cutting instructions. Okay, so that's kind of where we are, my pros, cons, tips, and tricks. So I'm going to switch my camera around so we can chat together on this. But if you've made it this far, can you please like and subscribe? That is free to you. My favorite price is free, but it helps me a ton. So consider liking and subscribing if you made it this far. Okay, I'll see you in a minute and we'll look at the clues. Trying something new. You can see my face and my hands. All right. So first up, here's clue 1A. There are 2 of these, and I really like the majority of these. We're not going to repeat this, but over and over again. But these are the 2 fabrics that I don't enjoy together, fabrics E and fabric F. To me, they're very similar, and this is muddy. But overall, love this first clue. So let's move on to 1B. Here's 1B. And you can see in that first month, they really leaned into these floral fabrics. There was a lot of them. So this is, again, majority of this is E and F, but still overall fun to make. Just, this is where some of my skepticism about contrast come from. But let me know, do you agree? Is there contrast here? Is this my inexperience with prints? I'm not sure. We'll find out. All right. So then we have clues 2, month 2. And I think sure you can, got to figure out which way to move. Get my big old noggin out of the way. And sorry, I'll have to work on this in the future. But we're going to work with what we got for today. So we've got, again, more of those E's and F's, lots of them, but at least some of the yellow and the purple little, I don't know, what are those, blueberries? I'm not sure. Breaking it up. Yeah, still a lot of the florals for E and F. And here's 2B. And yeah, those florals mixed together again. So overall, pretty good, though. I've had fun making these blocks. All right, so then we've got 3A. Little less of the floral on floral, but you can see it here. And I really liked these pinwheels. I did. Very cute. And here is 3B. Again, heavy on the florals. You can see right off the bat I didn't enjoy them, and they showed up for the first 3 months, like, very heavily. So this is 3B. I'm getting a lot of practice with these square and a square. I don't know if you can even see that on camera. You can see where I seam ripped because I had messed a couple things up. I think I mentioned that in the beginning of the video that I'm having a little trouble keeping things straight, but it's getting better. And here is month 4, and I have to say that one of those floral fabrics, I think it was F, didn't even make an appearance. So I did not have to worry about those two conflicting with each other, the E and the F. What I was talking about earlier too is that this unit on this side and this unit over here are the same. And this is the one where I was like, why are we making them differently? And it was the pressing instructions. And oh, for a minute I was like, this doesn't look right there. That's how I assembled them with the squares right there. I was just second guessing myself if I did that correct or incorrect, but hoping I did it correctly. So even though this unit and this unit are the same, they're just rotated a little differently. They had different pressing instructions, and that is where I goofed up. But I really liked these. I really, really like these blocks right here. I don't know what they're called or whatever, but the shapes of how these half square triangles like kind of present like this little movement here. I really like that. Big fan. Blue 4 has been my favorite so far. And then, yeah, some more of these little, what are these things called? I don't know, square in a square or a diamond in a square, or I don't know. Oh, and then one other thing on this one is these fabrics along the edge. Actually, let me see if I can zoom in. All right, these fabrics here, 1, 2, 3, 4, these two look alike, right? And these two look alike, but this is actually all the same fabric. So this is an example for me of how this reads purple to me, this reads green to me, and so I have concerns over how can there be proper contrast if some of the same fabric is purple, some is green, right? Purple on purple, purple on green, but I'm trying really hard to keep the faith. So we'll see. All right, so last I'm going to insert a picture of all of the clues on my design wall because it's a little too wonky to try to get it on film. And here they are. What do we think? Do we like them? Do we not? What are we thinking? Is there enough contrast? My negative Nancy. I am a negative Nancy a little bit, but you know, I have a healthy skepticism. Part of being an accountant, I think. So let me know. What do you think? You got any other tips and tricks for me? Do you like mystery quilts? Tell me all the things down in the comments. Don't forget I'm live every week, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.